All right, let's go for the today's lesson. And today's lesson is about configuring the file sharing service. In this lesson, we will be talking about uh, the protocols or services that can be configured to share the file services or to share the files and folders in your Linux systems, and also from Linux to Windows system. As I was saying, we will be looking into some of the services that will be used for configuring the file sharing services over the network. We have a specific service for Linux system, and we have a specific service for sharing the files between Windows to Linux systems. NFS, Network File Sharing Service, is a service that will avail the platform for sharing the files between Linux systems by default. So this is an software, or this is an application, or this is a service you can call in any ways that can be installed and configured to share the files between Linux systems by default. So NFS cannot be used very easily to share the files between Windows to Linux systems, but you can do it. But it has a very long process to do it. You need to have a specific environment for that. We call it as LDAP or DC, a domain controller needs to be there. Only then you can do the NFS sharing between your Windows machines and your Linux machine. So that's not the concept we are learning here. So we are going to learn how to share the files between Linux machines and how to access it over the network. Now, NFS is a platform, or it's a service which runs on the port 2049 TCP. So NFS also needs a bit of help with a couple of services like RPC bind. RPC is called as a remote procedure call. So, and there is another service called Mount D. Mount D is going to take care of the mounting process over the network. So when you are sharing the files between Linux systems, when you are accessing it from the client, you will be mounting the file system on the client machine. For example, if this is a server and from this server, I am sharing a specific folder. Okay. And when it is accessed by the client machine on Linux, so we will be mounting this again. So this is considered as a network device or a net dev. The folder will be considered as a network. It's coming from the network and we have to mount it in our local file system. Only then we can access our NFS shared NFS shares from our servers. Now, as I said, it runs with the port number is 2049 and it runs on TCP. Remember that. In order to configure your NFS server, we need specific requirements. So your NFS -utils package need to be installed. This will provide you the access, or this will provide you the configuration files for configuring your NFS. And then on the client end also, we will be installing NFS utils. As I said, it is giving some utilities which uh, which will include to NFS. So what you can work with the utility. So the required utilities for NFS will be provided from this package. So it's not only providing the server configuration, it is providing some other NFS utilities that can be even used on the client end. So we will be configuring one machine as our NFS server, and we will be accessing it from another machine as a client. So it's a very simple process, but steps are very important. And henceforth, I have created a small, steps that needs to be followed, which is 14 steps that will guide you through to configure your NFS server. So this is a part one. In part two, we will look into Samba configuration. NFS server configurations. Prerequisites is the NFS package that needs to be installed, that is NFS utils. And you have to start NFS server. That service need to be up and running. And our RPC bind service also need to be running. And once we have these two services up and running, we will configure our firewall in order to allow NFS mount the, which is going to take responsible of mounting the file systems across the network and RPC bind. So this is, theoretically, there is nothing much because you guys know how a file sharing service will work. You will share one from one server, you will share a file, and from another client, you will access it.
So, can you switch off your subtitles, sir?
I have switched off. You
But
have to switch it off.
I want to know.
Go
Yeah,
to more,
even
click on more, turn off the subtitles.
yeah, I turned off, but it is coming.
Don't worry, just close it. You won't see it. I have turned off from my end. It's not there. You can see it is saying turn on subtitles.
Okay.
So these are the 14 steps that we are going to follow in order to configure an NFS server. So without any delay, let's kick in for the action and let's see what we can do here. In this, I'll be using two virtual machines, one as my NFS client and one as my NFS server. Let's give a couple of minutes, get this virtual machines up and running. So I'll be taking you guys through step by step so that you guys can also follow it in the recordings without any confusion. Let's open a terminal. Let's switch to root. The first prerequisites is we need to check whether the NFS is installed or not. because we need this NFS utils package. So let's go ahead and check if NFS is there or not. Let me quickly mount my ISO here. So, so that I can go ahead and use my repositories. And after that, let's run the command minfo nfs-utils. As you can see, it is showing as it is already an installed uh, package. So let's do one thing. I think I had configured this as an NFS server for one of my batch. It is inactive. All right, let's do yum remove NFS utils. Why?
Sir, why some packages are installed before by default?
You have selected your operating system installation platform. So if you go with workstation or server with GUI, by default, you will have a lot of packages installed. So when you select that platform, you will have 1,400 packages that's going to be installed for that platform. So definitely you will see a lot of packages pre-installed. And here you might see some packages are already installed. That is because this is the same virtual machine I'm using, uh, which I already use for another batch. It's the same virtual machine. Might be you might see that packages are already installed. Okay, the first step, let's go and install the NFS-utils. Once the package is installed, the next thing what we need to do is we need to start the service, start NFS-server, and also make sure you enable the NFS server across all the reboots. So once that is done, next thing, make sure RPC bind is running. Check the RPC bind status. You will see it is running. The same way you can confirm on NFS-server also. If you want to check the status, you can run the above command, and here we go.
What is RPC bind, sir?
It is a remote procedure call protocol, which allows some of the ports to be accessed. So, or some of the service to be accessed, or which supports some of the services which are accessed over remotely. So NFS is also a service which will be accessed over remotely.
Okay, like SSH, huh?
Not SSH. So SSH doesn't need any port binding or something like that. Like NFS, keep it as NFS. It is a
Yes.
support service. RPC bind is a support service which will take care of remote procedure calls, especially like your NFS.
Okay, sir.
Right, let's go forward. Now, after starting this service and enabling the service, we have to uh, create our SharePoint. So what I'm sharing that we need to create. Let's do one thing. Let's create a directory that needs to be shared. Let's call it as share. Let's also make sure the permissions here 777, which means the complete permission I'm giving. So read and write permissions for even the uh, NFS client machines. Going forward. Now, after creating this folder, the next thing we need to do is, one second, guys. Okay. Now, once this folder which you want to share is created, the next thing we have to do is we have to add this information to one of the files. So which will be responsible to share this specific folder, that is exports /etc/exports. Inside this file, we will mention the folder which we want to share using through NFS. Now here, folder name, next, for which hosts or which network you want to share. It can be an IP address, 4.10/24, or it can be an entire network /24, or it can be for public world. You're sharing it for entire world who has the access. So read write the permission sync permissions we can give. Here you can change it to read only if you want to share it for read only, but make sure your folder permissions and NFS sharing permissions are always same. So don't mix it up. So once that is done, you can save it and exit. As soon as you make any changes to export file, the next thing you have to do is you have to run the command export fs-r to reload. Reload the changes which you have done on export file. So after this, make sure you do systemctl restart NFS-server. Now, once that is done, let's go for firewall configuration. As I said, we need to add some services to the firewall, that is NFS, Mount D, and RPC bind. You can search the services in these names only. You can grab it for NFS. You will see NFS. Don't go for NFS 3. It's an older version. So NFS is the NFS version 4. So since we are working on RHEL 8, we'll be using the default NFS, that is NFS version 4. And also you can check for Mount D. There you have Mount D. And the last one is RPC bind. There you go. So these are the three services that we need to allow in NFS. Let's do that. Firewall -cmd -add -service is equal to uh, NFS permanent. Same way, let's do it for even our RPC-bind, and then RPC bind after that mount D. To be in a safer side, we can also add the NFS port here, /TCP permanent. The last thing after adding all these things, without failing, we need to reload our firewall D so that all our settings will be in effect. Let's make confirmation. We have mount D, we have NFS, we have RPC bind. So 2049 is the port which I have opened for my NFS clients. All right, now this part is done. Now I have to go to the client end. In client end, I am not sure if I have given. Yeah, go to the client machine, verify NFS utils is installed, and try to check the NFS share from the server. So first we will check if the NFS utils package is installed or not. If it is not installed, we will install this package, and then we will try to check the NFS share from the server. So we'll try to see the information about the share from the server, NFS share from the server, what the NFS server is sharing. So without seeing the sharing information, you cannot mount it. Okay, so remember that one thing. So this is the command we will be using. All right. Let me go to my client machine here. I'm not sure if you guys can see it. First things first, let's make sure our NFS utils is installed or not. I think this should be installed. Okay. As you can see, it's already an installed package. So again, this package was installed in for another batch, which I did. So what you can do if you want to remove this package, you can always remove and reinstall, or you can, in your systems, definitely it will not be installed in the minimal installations. So make sure you install it. Okay. So once the package is installed, the next thing what we need to do, why I installed this package, because without installing this package, we won't be able to see this command, which is show mount. Show mount is a command which will display the information about NFS share from a specific server. Show mount -e and the server IP address or the host name. If you have DNS configured, you can use the host name, or if you have configured your host files, you can do that also. Here, I'll use the IP address in order to see what has been shared from my server, 254. Okay, what? I think I had to start the service. Now I am stuck. Okay, let me take another virtual console and log into root. First, let's start the NFS server, NFS utils. Okay, I think we don't need to start it from client end, but wait. I'm not able to ping the machine. That's a problem. Okay. Something wrong. Okay, I don't have a gateway. LMCLI connection. Modify DNS 224. Uh, 4 92.168.402. LMCLI connection down. ENS 224. Let's bring it up. CLI connection. So device So, okay, 4.2 IP route. So, okay, dot 4.4. Wait, wait. I'm sorry, guys. There is some sort of mistake that is happening here. Okay, but why I'm not able to ping to this IP address? This. Okay, give me a second, guys. I don't have time to keep troubleshooting this. Let's now revert the snapshots. Why? Hmm. Okay, finally it's pinging. There was a network issue with my, uh, one of my virtual machine. I don't know what was wrong, but now I am able to ping it. Okay, let's go back. Make sure you have the NFS utils package installed on the client end. And after that, run the command show mount -e IP address or the host name. Let's see what happens. As soon as you press enter at your client end, you can see that export list for 192.168.4.254, that is slash share, and it has been shared for the entire, public or entire world that has connection, that can communicate with 4.254 machine. Can somebody go into mute? Now, once you see that sharing list, which means that you are able to, communicate with NFS server on 192.168.4.254. Now, the next step is to access this specific share from your control node to your uh, not control node. So from your NFS server to your NFS client. Let's see how to do that. First, let's do a test whether it's going to mount or not. Let's do that test, and after that, we are going to mount it in a persistent way. Mount 192.168.4.254. So what we are mounting? We are mounting the folder share from 192.168.4.254 and space where you want to mount it. As of now, I want to mount it on MNT to test something. So yeah, we can do that. Press enter and see what will happen. So as soon as you get into the next prompt, check the df-th to see what has been mounted. You can see 192.168.4.254 folder share has been mounted to MNT. If you do ls on /mnt from the client end, nothing is there. Okay. Now let's do one thing. cd/mnt and let's try to create a file or anything. Touch access list.txt. Go to your NFS server and do ls on share. Can you see this file which has been created from the NFS client? Which means that your NFS share was successfully accessed by your NFS client. Now, this is a temporary way to mount it. If you do a reboot or if you mount something else on MNT, that mount is going to be lost. In order to make this in a persistent way, we need to mount it in a permanent way. So how do we do that? We do that by we don't have Vim here, so it is FS tab. Let's go to FS tab and make this NFS mounting in a persistent way so that across all the reboots, my NFS client is going to try to access the NFS server to mount that specific folder to my NFS client machine. Here, again, the mounting procedure is something different. 192.168.4.254 share, and where we are mounting it, we need to specify. Let's create a folder here and let's name it as access, and what type of file system it is. So it is not your EF, uh, you know, XFS or ext4, it is an NFS file system. And here we don't have defaults. Instead, we will have something called net underscore net dev, and then we can have 00. So two things got changed. Defaults got changed to underscore net dev, which means that we are telling the FS tab that this is a network mounting which is happening. So that's why we are specifying it as underscore net dev. And the file system is not XFS or ext4, it is NFS. Anybody has question? Hello?
No, sir.
Mr. Priya, can you hear me? Hello?
Hello, sir. Here is a network issue. I'm not getting anything.
No problem. I am recording this, so you will have the record. You can
Yeah,
download.
sir.
I see Arpita has been joined. Uh,
Hello, sir.
hello. We will talk
Sir,
it later.
sorry I went out. Okay, sir.
No
Okay.
problem, no problem. So since I was recording, I didn't, stop the record. So it'll be an interruption again. It doesn't look good in the recordings. So that's why I didn't talk. We will talk. Say if you guys have any doubts or something like that, you make note of those doubts. At the end of the recording, I'll stop. We will discuss the doubts. So just to keep the recording, you know, uh, just like how I send the videos to you, you can follow without any distractions. Okay.
Okay, sir.
I think Vishnupriya is still having network issue. Okay, fine. You guys can mute yourself. So as I was saying here, we are mounting NFS in a persistent way. That is by editing the fs tab file /etc/fs tab file. We have seen how to edit this file in our in order to make partitions in a persistent mounting way. We have accessed fs tab file, so we know what are the things that needs to be done. Only thing we'll change here is the device or the mounting path. So this is going to be coming from 192.168.4.254. We will give the IP address of the NFS server and the folder name which we are trying to access it, and where we want to mount it, and what is the file system. And it is not a default device. It will be considered as a network device. That's why I have given underscore net dev here and 00. Let's save the file and exit. Now, first we will do unmount on MN3. Okay, device is busy because my present working directory is on /mnt. That's why. Let's do cd and run the command umount on MNT again. It will be unmounted. Now, if you do df-ph, we don't see the NFS mounted. Before mounting it, let's create the directory that is going to be responsible for mounting the NFS share, mkdir/access, because this is a directory I mentioned in my fs tab file. Now, if we do mount space -a, we shouldn't see any errors there. If we have any errors, we have to see very clearly what is the error. As you can see now, it has been mounted on access. Your share folder from your NFS server has been mounted on your NFS in your client machine on the folder /access. Go to cd/access ls. You have access list.txt still. vi access.txt. Save this file. Here we do ls on share. You can see that if you do cat on /share access list, you can see that whatever I have typed. So this is just like how you share your files and folders in your Windows. So this is how we share it in Linux by using the NFS protocol. So make sure from your server end, when you're configuring, you need to check the firewalls. So mount all this three: RPC bind, NFS, and mount D, and also make sure you enable the port to be in safer side, that is 2049. Once that is done, do a restart to your NFS server in your server systemctl restart NFS server. You can say it will be restarted. And now you can go to your client machine and do the things. It is vice versa. The permission which we gave, if you look into cat exports, we gave sync permission, right? Sync means it is synchronizing. Whatever by default in NFS4, the synchronize will be there, will be a default permission, but still to be in safer side, I added the sync permission (RW). RW means read and write permission. Make sure that you are giving the read and write permissions or read only permission. So sync is responsible to synchronize these informations. So there on the client machine, I created access.list. And if you go to server and do that ls on share, you can see that information updated immediately. That is what synchronization is doing. So that's it from my end for NFS server. And I have already sent this notes to your WhatsApp. It's very clear and easy. So I have given some description for a specific step. You can read that and then do it. Without any without any errors, you can configure your NFS server and client. Everything I have mentioned in this notes. So which is already shared to you guys. Okay, so it's time for some question and answers. Let me go ahead and stop the recording.